anniversary, I did a 5 mile run on the Columbia River, and it was spitting snow and it was raining, and you know, Jill and my daughter were with me, and they got about a quarter mile in, and they just said, "Screw this," and they headed back to the car, and I'm just like, man, this is my I promised myself 5 miles, and I'm gonna do it. And when I got done, yeah, it was cold and I was wet, but at the same time, it was this overall feeling of accomplishment and whole body and really in touch with what I was, because it was cold. And
Yeah.
and I love that experience, and even kind of a touch of that in the last 2 days with it being cold. So it's uh yeah, I definitely see the benefits of it. So it's something that I need to work towards. Um, so
Well,
yeah.
and it's a balance, it's all a balance. And that's the way that I think a lot of people I've had people say things like, do you take a break? And really the answer to that is no. The answer is I don't take a break, but it's very well thought out and calculated.
Yeah.
So, when people say, do you take a break? I mean, well, what is a break? Like the concept of break is like, okay, what are you breaking from? Are you breaking from your workout routine? Okay, like, do we need a break from heavy weightlifting? Then yes, obviously. We can't lift heavy weights every day or we're going to get injured.
Oh yeah.
And and so it's like, okay, that's a break, but when I'm taking the break from that, can I be doing something else that's going to help? Can I be working on mobility? Can I be doing, zero resistance training in a pool? Can I be doing meditation? Can I be doing my breath work? Can I be doing, yoga? I mean, it's the list goes on. And a lot of people, the next thing they say, right, is, well, that sounds so exhausting, right? And it's one of those things where there really is that period of time. And granted, giving you a background of me, I've always been into sports when I was younger. Until I really started getting into trouble, I was always into sports. Um, and so, I kind of had that kind of background, I guess you could say, of just athletic ability. But I mean, I used to try to work out when I was drinking all the time, and I probably kept a better gym schedule than most alcoholics. I know I did. I guarantee you. I mean, I would go in just very hungover the next day, and I'd gut out a workout. Because just kind of going way back, I found exercising when I was getting out of high school. I was really bad into drugs in high school, and that's what brought me out of that when was finding the gym. And so I've always kind of had that addiction to working out. But I mean, when I was drinking all the time, I'd skip workouts. We all felt that feeling of getting to the gym. You walk in, you take one look at the machine, you're like, I'm not doing this. Walk right out.
Yeah.
And a little bit of you dies inside every time you do that, by the way.
it, it makes it so much easier to do it again the next time,
Yeah.
and kind of like
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah. But I mean, the point of it really is it's just like I always I always gutted through the workouts, but I never really saw the light that came from it. I was gutting out the workouts to, stave off the fat because I was drinking so much beer and eating so much crappy bar food that I couldn't sustain that unless I was burning a ton of calories in the gym. And so like it was just like this kind of constant fight to like not get fat, or like not be out of shape, out of control, that kind of thing. And I never really saw like the actual benefits from it because my brain was clouded. It's like what you said in your video the other day. It was like when you have that cloud covering your head, you're blind to everything outside of it. And
Yeah.
and so like really now that I'm taking care of myself and I've been sober for almost 2 years, I have really started to dive into the physical aspect of not just exercise because exercise, yeah, but when it comes to like mind body connection with the entire system, it's a system. Okay. I look at it as a system, and it can drive you crazy trying to get everything perfect because the human body is so sophisticated that, we're never going to get there. But, I listen to a lot of experts that talk about timing of things, just like I'm talking about with my morning routine. timing of things. It's like, okay, if I didn't wake up at the same time every day or close to the same time every day, because I am human, I give or take 15, 20 minutes, whatever, on a weekend or something like that. But if I don't get up around that same time every day and do that same routine, even if I don't want to do it, I know in the back of my head that I'm not hitting those dopamine receptors the same that day. That day, I've already lowered my bar a little bit if I don't do it, and a lot of people don't think of it that way. They just kind of think they're throwing something into the wind and not getting it back, and so like when you really start to study the science of it, it really comes together, and it's so fascinating how you can start to see the benefits of, like, for me, one of the biggest things was when COVID started, we said we were going to get good at yoga, which, a lot of people like, men especially, like, they're scared because they think yoga is a women thing or a, a sissy thing, or, I've heard all kinds of things. A lot of macho people aren't into it, and some people just don't like it. I get it. And some people haven't really dove into it because the weird awkwardness at classes, and, and I get how all that works. But we started doing it at home, just on YouTube. We found a really good channel that we like called Breathe and Flow. It's a couple, and we started just getting good at just like the poses. But then you really start to feel different when it comes to like the breathing, because there's a specific type of breathing that you have to do. And so, like, long story short, months down the road, when we're doing yoga every single morning before, my 6-year-old stepson wakes up, we start to figure things out that we didn't figure out before. We start to be able to go a little bit deeper into meditation at the end of it. We started getting better at breathing through our nose, which is the practice of the yoga breath work. And then I start, listening to some podcasts from some different experts in this realm that talk about, okay, when you breathe through your nose, this happens. When you breathe through your nose, this happens. When you breathe through your nose, you get this benefit, versus breathing through your mouth all the time, you lose this benefit. If you drink a cup of green tea every day, you get the polyphenols that are going to raise this and lower anxiety. And there's just so many different aspects of this kind of like world of wellness, and like just trying things out only works when you kind of know who's down there, who's below in your body. It's like, I feel like a lot of people like haven't explored the full potential of what they're capable of when it comes to that physical aspect. And the only way that I feel that you can get there is by testing yourself a little bit every day. And that can be anything. That can be forcing yourself to sit down and write 10 pages of that book, and, fighting through the resistance to get there, but it can be so many different things. But really, like, forcing yourself to be uncomfortable every day is the only way to get to that point where you can start to say, oh, I can see the benefit from this. I can notice the benefit from that. I've been waking up every day, chugging a glass of ice water and doing a short, easy jog outside for a month. And now when I do it, I mean, I listen to a song that I like and I feel a level of joy that I've never felt in my life. I feel like I'm in a movie. I feel like I'm the superhero of my life, and I'm defeating everything, no matter what comes in front of me, and the stress of COVID and the stress of work and the stress of parenting and just all of this. I have that time with myself every single day, and it's never going anywhere. There's no schedule that'll ever come up. Okay. Because if I have to work at 5, then I'm going to get up at 4 to do it. I'm going to find a way to do it because I see the benefit in that practice. And I feel like a lot of people don't make it that far. They start doing it. They say, oh, this sucks. I feel better. I'm losing weight, but this sucks, but this sucks, but this sucks. And they don't ever get to the point where it becomes normal and they can start to go above that.
Yeah. And I started getting up early, a couple years ago, and I wasn't going out and exercising. I was just getting up early because I don't like to be rushed going to work, whatever. I get up, I read, I have my coffee, ease myself into my day, and it was good. And I really, and when those times that I didn't do that, and you're right, where you get up a little later, it kind of throws that schedule off, and then you almost seem like you're behind the eight ball all day.
Yeah.
And I learned that, okay, I don't like that feeling, and I'm not going to continue doing that, because I'm whatever it takes, I'm going to do that. And then starting 75 hard, it was like, okay, I need to get that first 45-minute workout in before before I'm doing my reading, before my coffee. And so I'm up at 4 now doing that. And that's another thing is I never did yoga. I was like, oh my God, hippies, granola, patchouli, whatever. Yeah, just the whole mindset.
Yeah.
But I started doing some really basic yoga, and it was like, wow, this is actually really cool. And there's benefits to it that I never realized that are enhanced when I'm doing other things. And it also allowed me to, it was like almost like giving myself permission to go outside the box, and okay, now I'm going to try doing this. And so I've integrated a whole bunch of these different things into my workouts, because I was in the trap of kind of doing the same thing all the time. And I went to the gym before the gyms closed down, same machine, maybe a couple different variations, but it was kind of the same motions and never really something different.
Yeah,
And
you can hit that stagnant area, right? When you're doing the same thing constantly. And that's a challenge for everybody too. I mean, because I am obsessed with fitness. That's my number one thing that has saved my life, in my opinion, because some people, and I think I'm one of these people, I've always craved these insane levels of adrenaline. I've always been big into snowboarding and jumping off cliffs, and we used to do the handrails around town, and just all this dangerous stuff. But it was stuff that made me feel alive. Like, it made me feel nervous. It made me feel I've always lived off that, and I feel like that's why I got into drugs so hard. And that's the same way that I kind of approach drinking too. When we were kids, we were into ecstasy, coke. I mean, all that, it gives you that kind of rush and that fun, something to chase after, that and I've always kind of been like that. And now, okay, I'm sober, and I can't use drugs for that anymore. And so I've found it in other places, and that's really the thing that I get excited for. And it wasn't always that way. There was that period of time where you do have to kind of fight through just getting used to what it feels like to exercise. And you have
yeah,
to get through that. You have to get through that kind of weird funk, and that can take years sometimes. But really, if it's a goal, it needs to be a goal. It can't be a hobby. You know what I mean? It can't be an every once in a while. It's like, if someone wants to do it and they want to get in shape, then it needs to be a commitment, the same way you would commit to anything else. And that's what you're
right.
doing 75 hard, and all these programs that do it. And it could be, and you know what I do? One thing that I do is, if it's a day where I have something scheduled that's hard, I do a lot of hard kettlebell workouts and things like that, where say I'm helping someone move, or life happens, my back hurts, I'm really sore, and I probably shouldn't do that workout that day. I do something. I do something instead. I walk around the block for an equal amount of time almost that I would have doing that workout, because it gives you that kind of self-validation of, okay, I did something. But versus if you just skip it, then there is always going to be that little eking in the back of your head that's like, well, maybe I could have done something. Maybe I could have, why, I could have done this and that. And I mean, what this all is fighting against this force called resistance. I'm sure you hear this a lot, or you've heard me talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
And this is the book that I got it from, The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
One of the best books I've ever read. And he talks a lot about it. It's basically about writer's block, I guess, like writer's resistance, and artists' resistance. But it can be applied to everybody, especially like what we're talking about with addiction and fitness and that kind of thing. is that there's always this force of resistance. And we feel it every day. You feel it every day. You wake up and you don't want to go outside. You know, like I'm telling you right now how much I love it. I guarantee tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to want to do it. I'm going to want to stay in bed.
That initial thought.
Yeah, it's weird how you fight with your head on this,
Yeah,
but you got to know the end game. You got to know the end game, and the end game is if you don't do it, you're going to feel worse than if you did do it.
yeah, yep, yeah. You got to shut the bitch voice up.
Right. That's right. Innovation. You can call it whatever you want, resistance, and it applies to everything. It's the same thing that tells us that the people that aren't our friends are our friends. You know, when we're drinking, when we were drinking, the people that we used to call our friends were not our friends. But the every single time we would be at the bar with them and agreeing with them and introducing people to them and calling them, you know, I used to call some of these people my inspiration. And some of them are good people, you know, and they're all good people, but some of them are people that that I have looked up to, and some of them, you know, but a lot of them were people that were kind of looking to drag me down with them, you know, and people that didn't have that kind of drive. There was no drive. It was just kind of, but resistance was keeping me there. It was keeping me in touch with these people. And alcohol obviously, you know, gets, you know, number one there, but like there's always that sense of resistance of like you're going to gravitate more towards people that are going to tell you what you want to hear. You know, you don't want someone to tell you you're being a bitch, get outside, go work out, follow through on your schedule. You want someone to tell you it's okay. It's, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. Have a drink. It's, you know, it's you deserve it. You had a rough week. You know, like they say all that, right? I mean, that's the resistance. The resistance is that kind of pull to go towards that comfortability. And I'll be the first one to tell you that all of the good influences in my life, I stayed the hell away from when I was drinking because I didn't want to feel that resistance. And the difference now is that I travel towards the resistance and I conquer it now. I face it every single day. And it literally does every single day. Over the years that I've gotten better at this, you get better at certain things. You get better at knowing when it's happening, and you get better at initiating the action, but you're never going to get better at preventing the resistance. It's always going to be there.
yeah. It's the clarity that comes that, you know, the clarity and the awareness of that resistance.
Yeah.
You know, when it does rear its ugly head, and yeah, it definitely, you know, it's a learned trait and it never goes away. It's
Right.
it's going to be there. So yeah,
Yeah. One of the main things he talks about in that book is professionalism. So, one of the best ways to deal with resistance is to treat whatever you're resisting against professionally, the way you would at your job, the way you would at a professional job. I mean, let's pretend for a second that whoever it is, let's pretend that you have a very important job and you have to get something done. You know, you're going to treat it professionally. And a lot of people don't think of treating their health as a professional. They just kind of go off of what they're feeling and not off of what needs to be done. And
right.
so when you look at it professionally, it's like, you know, when I go on a vacation or something, you know, and I have a workout planned and everyone, the family's upstairs having fun and everything, you know, it's a wonderful time. Everything's pushing me away from doing a workout. Everything's pushing me away, even though I know I have to. And so like that's when I will actually double down and I'll one up myself and I'll say, you know what? I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this more than ever. So I'm going to do more than I've done before. And I actually just did that a few days ago. We went up to the mountains and up at altitude and I did. And I was, you know, I was screaming the whole first part of the workout, you know, that whole first section, I was just in this state of like going back and forth. You're going to quit. You're going to quit. Stop now. Don't. And then after 20 minutes, I hit that level where that all went away. And and it's peace from there. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but it's pure peace because you have put yourself through the hell that no one else could put you through. You know, it's you just traveled through that dark forest and got to the other side. And that's a skill that takes a really long time to learn how to do repeatedly and to force yourself to do it repeatedly because we all have those days. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, The Rock or some, you know, someone who's been doing this for years, who's one of the most inspirational people and this and that, you know, they all feel it. And the one thing that they pride themselves on is being able to recognize it and push through.
Yeah.
And, you know, and really life is nothing more than trying to chase after those moments. You know, we're never going to reach a point, you know, where you've made it. You know, like everyone's got this kind of like imaginary place in their head of some like, you know, fancy mansion where they're laying on a couch and, you know, eating fine grapes. You know, like imaginary like end game, you know, and really like that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist for anybody. That doesn't exist. What does exist is getting to a place where you know you can handle whatever's in front of you and handle it with composure and you can take yourself to places that maybe the world isn't trying to take you through your mind. And it really it sometimes it sounds woo woo, it sounds, you know, mind over body kind of thing, but it really is, you know, on the other side of struggle is happiness. And the people that never feel happiness are the people who have never put themselves through any kind of struggle. You know, I grew up with a lot of people like that. I grew up in a rather nice suburb with a lot of people that didn't have to work. They did, you know, they didn't have jobs. They were never forced to have a work ethic. And it's really sad. It's really sad to see, you know, just because I mean these people were so well off, but they weren't prepared correctly, and they weren't given that kind of fire under their ass that's like that everybody needs in one way or another. Everybody needs that fire under their ass. And like, you know, a lot of people that you know that I know have never they would never entertain the idea of waking up in the morning, really early in the morning, because it doesn't fit into their life, you know. But I don't know that it fits into anyone's life when you first start doing it. You know,
Very
yeah,
true. But I have to admit, you come to a point. I never liked it. My man, I was, you know, hell. The blankets were my best friend, and they were keeping me cozy. But you know, once you break through that barrier, it's like I look forward to it. I mean, you know,
yeah,
my dad, you know, he was always up and out the door early, you know, going to work, and I was like, I don't know what his problem is, man. I'll never do that. And then here I am, I'm getting up earlier than he was. So and it's like I see the benefit now. And it's something that I've done consistently, you know, for a couple of years now, that it's just like I couldn't do it any other way. You know, it's, you know, you go on vacation and man, I'm up early. I'm up out the door early, and you know, I gotta be doing something. You know, even my mom, you know, she never sits still. She's always got something going. You know, and it might not, you know, not something super strenuous or anything, but she's either cooking or she's knitting or she's doing something. If she's sitting in front of the TV, she's doing something. And even my dad has got to be doing something. You know, and of course they're older, so they're maybe a little more sedentary than normal, or you know, well, they're just getting, yeah, how you get old. So it's but they still do stuff, and they still are still moving forward. And I think that's a trait that I've been fortunate to, you know, to glean from them. And now
yeah,
I understand how always doing something, and it's, overactive brain too. So
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think humans evolved to be bored. Like this whole idea of like boredom was never supposed to be a thing. I
uh,
think that the modern society has created that within people. I kind of laugh when I hear someone say they were bored. I'm like, I was bored yesterday. I was like, what? What?
well,
Like I mean, and I guess I remember what that was like, but yeah, I mean, boredom is something that should be eliminated, and yeah, and just constantly doing something. I mean, here's a good example, okay, for Halloween this year, and I want to give as many non-fitness examples as possible because everyone thinks I just work out all the time. But so, anyways, for Halloween, we were gonna carve some pumpkins. We bought some pumpkins. It got like -2 degrees here, and then the pumpkins, and then it warmed up, so they rotted. And so I was like, last minute on Halloween day, I was like, I kind of want to, we still want to carve some pumpkins. Our 6-year-old really wanted to do it, and I was like, all right. So I went out searching for pumpkins. Went to 2 different stores, couldn't find it. I was like, oh man, they're out. And I was like about to go home, and I was like, all right, fine, let me try one more place. Tried this place, finally found some pumpkins, and they were like a little bit expensive because it was the last day. They kind of knew everyone was scrambling around, and I was like, maybe I don't need these. Maybe we can just find something else to do. And I was like, whatever. I did it. But I felt like a weird like sense of like I just wasted my money almost after I bought them. It didn't make sense. I was like, all right, what the hell is this? Get home, start carving the pumpkins. We start like trying to do the professional where you whittle the outside of it, and like doing more than just cutting the balls. And like I started doing it, and after like 10, 20 minutes, it was like one of the most therapeutic things I've ever done. And it was so effective. I mean, it was like 2.5 hours of some of the best family time we've ever had. I loved every minute of it. Our pumpkins came out amazing. And, the neighbors were commenting how awesome they were. Like everything was so good about that situation, but everything inside me did not want to do it ahead of time. I was like, well, we got to get out all the stuff and put it down on the floor so we don't get the seeds everywhere. I mean, I was just like like everything, every piece of resistance in me was fighting against me doing, and that's just like a good example of how many things like that have we missed out on, you know? How mmany times have we thought about that? Oh, well, hey, I'm gonna try this out. Like, oh well, no, maybe not. It's better. I'm gonna take a nap, or something. And so I'm done missing those opportunities. I'm done with that. It's like I have so much left to go. And now that I'm sober, it's like you talk about, like I feel like like I have superpower, and I can do whatever I put my mind to doing,
yeah.
and one of the things that is one of the things that inspired me to stop drinking, my first rock bottom, was I lost control of some of my company that I started. I started a company with one of my friends years ago, making charcuterie. And they're still around, but yeah, my level of drinking was what forced them to force me out of operation. And so it's like I've kind of had that feeling of building something from the ground up and then watching my own demons take it down. And so, I mean, that kind of puts another fire under my ass a little bit of just like, okay, you learned once, do it right this time. And I learned, and I truly do believe that that was all there for a reason. I believe that I had to learn that lesson. I believe that, I'm not religious at all, but I do believe that there was something that wanted me to learn that. There was a force somewhere in the universe that wanted that lesson to be learned, by me, and I did, and I learned it, real hard. But like now the way I approach things is so much more with a sense of purpose. It's like I've experienced that you can chase a dream, and I've experienced that you can build an idea from nothing. And so it's like now, I mean, I feel like I'm an adult for the first time since I'm sober. Like I feel like my brain, what could I have accomplished in that time that I was drinking? I feel like I'm making up for lost time now. And like all with all that said, there's no time to skip that morning run. You know,
Yeah.
there's no time. Like after all that said, is it really worth it? That extra 15 minutes in bed? Like, no, it's not. It's so far away from being worth it. And I want no part of it. and
Yeah.
so and so it's just looking at life as doing everything the best you can do. And I didn't used to be one of those people. I used to be one of those people that would go to work, do the minimum, not to get fired, and get out, go to the bar. Like always like trying to cut corners. Always trying to like make things easier for myself. Like that way of life, it trickles down to all aspects. It trickles down to your family, to your kids, your everything. And it's like that's not the way to live. And people do that with certain things, but they don't do it with others. And I think a lot of people neglect it with themselves. It's like we need to be working as hard as possible on ourselves. Like as it should be, that should be paramount, number one, before anything else. Because it's like I say it all the time. Like people, my fiance Melanie, she's sober as well. She got sober not too long after I did,
Awesome.
and she tells me all the time, and she's like, you are way more calm than I would guess you were from the outside. And really it's because I get that aggression out on my own. And you know what? If I don't get that aggression out on my own, it comes out somewhere else. I'll notice it. That's why days that I have to take off, I always like have to kind of be real strategic about what I do. I'm out there in the morning swimming and stuff, like in the cold water or something, like I'm doing something, because I can't just take a day off. It's taking days off didn't get me anywhere.
Right.
What got me where I am is not taking days off and constantly focusing on the next thing. It's like I get excited for my workout the next day. And you know what? If I'm not getting excited for it, then maybe we need to change something up. Maybe we need to mix this up. Maybe we need to throw in a really difficult power yoga session that day instead of the heavy weights. Maybe I need to just swing a kettlebell as many times as I can before until my arms feel like they're gonna fall off. I can get a workout in 5 minutes doing 120 kettlebell swings, but you got to be able to take your mind to that pain cave. And it's like there's so many solutions to this problem that people have of kind of stimulating that mind during recovery. And exercise is so important. It really is. And I mean, if people who can't exercise, people who don't have the ability, I mean, the breath work, the temperature, I mean, heat therapy. I mean, I know we don't have access to saunas now because of the COVID thing, but sauna is amazing.
Mhm.
I actually sometimes, to mimic the effects of a sauna, I'll just put on a bunch of extra layers of clothes when it's warm outside and go for a run. There's a lot of studies that show that heat shock proteins have been shown to reduce anxiety. Same with cold showers, same with the cold. There's so many different things we can do physically, and just through like breath work and physical activity that can change your life completely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so you have a sobriety day coming up. Well, I have your sobriety date marked. It's January 8th.
Yeah, yeah, we're pretty close. I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's I remember, I think it was probably about this time last year where we first met in that one sobriety group on Facebook. And I think you had posted, I think I was like maybe the infancy of your recovery fitness freaks or recovery freak fitness. Sorry, got that back. And yeah, and I don't know, there was always this good connection. And I have to say, I have always admired your commitment. And it's something that like I say, I'm inspired. And just I hope you're inspiring other people, and I'm sure you are. And I mean, that's the only thing that I can wish to do is just inspire other people. 'Cause I know where people are, or where they want to be. and things that I've accomplished, and I know you're doing exactly the same thing, and I think it's awesome. And I think that I think maybe one of the texts that we've exchanged back and forth over the last year is, just changing people's lives one person at a time, and just by showing the benefits, and I absolutely believe that you are doing that, and I think that's that is it's awesome, and yeah, and I mean, granted, we've never met face to face, but there's this brotherhood that I feel, and I'm not fanboying you or anything like that, but maybe I am in a little bit, just
Absolutely, absolutely.
it's
Yeah, no, I've been following you as well, and I mean, I love all the videos. You are an inspiration as well, and and I think it's pretty easy to tell when someone's being real, and it's easy to tell the opposite too, and I think that yeah, I can tell from day one that you've been real, and it's funny, I don't know if you've experienced this as well, but like when I go back, even the name Recovery Free Fitness is funny to me. Like I'm I'm embarrassed by it. Just it's kind of like gives you a window to how my mind was when I first got sober. It really was that intense, like freakish struggle at first, and when I go back and I watch my videos and I see my original posts and stuff, it's like I can watch myself change over time. And doing that page was, I don't care how many likes I get or followers I get, because I actually will get messages from people sometimes. And I've gotten a few messages from people saying like, dude, you may be the reason that actually prevented me from relapsing the other night. I got up and I saw your post, and that, lifted me out of the funk that I was in. Or I've had, some people, I wasn't going to work out today, and I saw your post and I went out and did it and I feel great. Like I'll see messages like that sometimes, and like that's all that matters. Is literally if I get one person saying that I changed their day, that's what matters. And when I know that there's people watching that this matters to them, it makes me more accountable. It makes me make sure that I'm making those connections and I'm putting that thought out there, because that thought comes every day. I'm sure you felt it when it happens the most random time. You'll be driving or something, and then you'll have some thought and you wish you could jot it down. And then by the time you get your phone, it's gone.
yeah,
It's yeah, I mean, like I try to capture that. Like I'll stop when I'm in the middle of a run and I'll sit down on the pavement and I'll write it sometimes in the morning. Like the second it comes into my mind, because I want to keep it as real as possible. And I want people who are struggling to see it and identify with it to a certain point, and say like, God, yeah, that is me. Like I remember that, or like, like that is so true. I get it. Like it makes perfect sense to me. And I love that community, and I love that I love that group of people that are really just trying to better humanity. I mean, we need more of that these days. It's like social networking can be the worst thing in the world. It can be the best thing in the world.
absolutely.
And I truly do believe that in my life right now, it is a good thing. And I use it for good purposes. And you could easily use it for the other side of things, and I make it very important to myself that I don't check it too much either. I'll post in the morning, I'll post and drop, and I won't look at it again all day sometimes. And sometimes if someone comments or asks a question, I'll answer it. But I'm very careful about being one of those people that's constantly checking for likes and validation, because that can get dangerous too. But yeah, I mean, like that one avenue, that has changed my life enough right there. It's like I know that I got to get up, and I know there's people out there that are going to be a little weirded out if they don't see my post that day, or it's maybe not every day. There's a few days I've missed, but like within a couple days, it's like it just keeps me accountable, it keeps me moving, and whatever people can do to do that, they need to do. And whatever that is, they need to find it, and if they don't know what it is, then they can create it. They can create it in one way or another. But what they can't do is not act because, in neuroscience, it is a law that behavior affects feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions don't come from any other source. Behavior controls feelings and emotions. And so if we can control our behaviors, then we can, in essence, have the best chance of controlling our feelings and emotions.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Yeah, and you never know that what if you skip out, or if you thought comes to mind, hey, maybe I should post this, or maybe I don't. You don't know what that thing is. I mean, just a random post of what my stats were one day
Mhm.
totally changed the life of someone closer to me than I would ever even have expected. And that right there is huge beyond measure, and it continues to benefit this person. And it, yeah, and it's all we can ask for. Change one life, and then how it's the ripple effect. You never know how it's going to affect outwardly, and damn, we need that right now.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we need more of this. We need more conversations. We need more positivity. We need more,
Yep.
all of that. And I think that we are moving in a direction where that can start to kind of, it's starting to come back into focus of like, what, all this stuff that's going on is external, but society starts with the individual.
Absolutely.
It's with you and me, and it starts with my impatience. It starts with my insecurities. It starts with my aggression. It starts with my, all my weaknesses rolled into one, and how I can deal with them. That affects my energy that I'm putting out into society, into the world. And that affects the way that my stepson is raised. That affects the type of person that he's going to become. That affects the every little thing, that affects, me talking to you, that affects, every person I talk to in any meeting ever, and everyone who ever looks at my post. It affects what I'm going to say tomorrow. It affects the picture I'm going to take tomorrow. It affects the creativity that I'm going to feel tonight when I sit down to write. And it affects how happy I am at this moment.
Mhm.
And just thinking of those little things, man, those little things that seem insignificant to a lot of people are so important, so important. Coming to that place every single day in your mind, whether it be meditation or just sitting quietly, having conversations with yourself, and just really kind of assessing the situation of where you're at. you know okay, like, I like doing a gratitude journal. That's another thing that I've started doing since COVID started, is wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night. Two things I'm grateful for. What did I do good today or yesterday if it's in the morning? And what could I have done better? Things like that. Just really constantly, and you'll learn things about yourself that you don't realize you're going to learn. And you'll come up with ideas you didn't realize you were going to come up with. And everyone you touch will get that same energy in one way or another. And it's so important for people to speak and not be embarrassed, and not be, it's like I kind of feel awesome when I post a picture of me doing yoga. All the gym bros out there will see that and be like, oh, well, maybe yoga's not girly after all.
It
You know, I
ain't.
mean, I'm not embarrassed about a thing. It's like this has saved my life, that all of this has saved my life. And it's just gonna get better. It's like we talk about where I was 2 years ago and where I was 5 years before that. It's like years used to fly by when I was drinking, and I
Oh,
wouldn't get shit done. I wouldn't get anything done. And now it's like I've accomplished so much just in 2 years. And all those accomplishments have nothing to do with financial. I mean, I worked the same job that I did when I got sober, and it's not necessarily a job that I like, but it needs to be there because this is part of my recovery. And but those moments that I feel of like I've accomplished things, they happen within myself. They happen in my own world. They happened this morning, and they're gonna happen tonight. And and it's gonna happen again tomorrow morning. And maybe you know what? Maybe on Tuesday morning when I wake up, I'm gonna mix it up completely, and I'm gonna go to a different place, and I'm gonna do a different thing, and show myself something different that I haven't seen yet. And like that, and accomplishing those small victories along the way will end up with the final victory that we're all looking for. We
Yes.
may not know what it is yet. We may not know what that thing is, but it will come into view. It's like, you start getting more hobbies when you start to open up these areas of your life where you start to kind of not stress so much about things. You open up holes for productive things, and those productive things can turn into businesses and ideas, and and just excitement. It's like it doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we are creating some sort of excitement in our life, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's living. Um,
Yeah.
I, you stated it perfect. Oh, all right, brother. You know,
I'm gonna let you go. I know I don't want to keep you too long, but I want to close just with this little quote from this book,
absolutely. This is from the War of Art.
The War of Art.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pick that one up. I need another one in my queue. I'm just finishing up David Goggins' book.
Oh, that's
Uh,
amazing.
oh my, have you even better is the audio, because it's like 12 hours. It's almost like a podcast format.
Yeah.
And there's so much more in that.
Mhm.
That is, I highly recommend it. If you don't, you can get it. You can get it on Audible if you just sign up for the free account or whatever.
I love
Uh,
Goggins.
you
Yeah.
can pick that up, man. It takes that book to the next level.
I
Anyways,
believe
I didn't mean to hold you up on your quote here, but
good.
please.
So yeah, this goes back to talking about approaching resistance as a professional. Um, so it says, yeah, the professional self-validates, tough-minded in the face of indifference or adulation, sorry. She assesses her stuff coldly and objectively. Where it fell short, she'll improve it. Where it triumphed, she'll make it better still. She'll work harder. She'll be back tomorrow. And then the next one here, the professional cannot let himself take humiliation personal. Humiliation, like rejection and criticism, is the external reflection of internal resistance.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So we approach it professionally and magical things happen.
Yes, I'm gonna have to pick that book up. Put it in my queue.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I have increased is my library, and it's just been, I think there's maybe only just a small handful of books that it's like, it wasn't as great as what it was, but there's some other ones that are just, brilliant, and I was never a reader. So yeah, that definitely is going to go on my queue. So Alex, I appreciate you setting this up. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to putting this out there. And if you're throwing up on your YouTube or something like that, you just want to throw me a link. I'll link that as well. And hopefully your words and our discussion will help one person. Not, it helped me. That's all I know. So it's been an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this since we talked about it. I guess what it was about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago. Oh,
Tim, I appreciate it. And yeah, there's much more to come in this realm. We're setting up some fun stuff. So
absolutely.
we'll be doing more conversations just like this.
Sounds great to me. All right,
Appreciate it.
brother.
All
You
right.
be well. Enjoy the weather there in Colorado.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All
Obi.
right. Peace.
See you.